So I went to Home Depot to get soil. I'm still covered in dirt. But I went to Home Depot to get soil. And on my way back, I just got this nudge that I was supposed to keep driving straight instead of making the turn back home. And I wound up going down this, I passed like 3 different places that I used to live. But they were all like in a row and en route to this other place. There was an apartment complex. There was a townhouse next to a bus stop. And then I went further and I went back. And I'd forgotten I lived there for a minute. But a lot of my my early high school years were right in that little cul-de-sac. There was another townhouse.
Turn right to stay on Gilbert Road.
There was another townhouse area, and I remembered all the trails that were down there, and I was like about to turn in, and I saw this stretch of sidewalk, and it had this particular set of trees that like overhang the road and makes almost like an archway, and the light shines through, and it just turns everything this brilliant green. And I remembered how many times I have walked down that sidewalk in dreams before, and never in that neighborhood, never in that townhouse. But I always walked down past it, going down that stretch of sidewalk, and I could never really identify it. I could never really figure out why I was there or where it was until I just saw it, and I was like, that's it. And I had all of these little flashbacks to previous dreams, not remembering the entire thing, but snippets from 100 different dreams. And I don't know why, but in my mind I heard, clairaudiently, the dimensions are connected through spaces, which is from the OA. When BBA realizes that she's a medium and that she can feel across dimensions, she understands that dimensions are created through spaces. And when she is at the abandoned psychiatric hospital on Treasure Island with the boys, and she's in dimension 1. In dimension 2, the OA and the guys that were in Hap's basement in Hap were all in dimension 2 in the exact same place where that same psychiatric hospital was thriving, and it was still open. And she could sense when OA and the others were in that same room with them across dimensions. This is almost giving like quantum clairsentience. And that reminds me of the dream I had with Just Flying By, where she was a teacher, and she reminded me of like the role BBA played in the group, which was essentially caretaker, mama bear, the glue, the medium, the teacher. The bravery that it took for her to run into that cafeteria when there was an active shooter to protect those kids, These are all things that I associate deeply with BBA. And even though it's not touched on much, her reconnection with her physicality, with her sensuality, the parts of herself that she puts in little boxes. And I think, how funny is it that I just literally screwed together an entire cube when her entire archetype consistently throughout the entire show brings up boxes and compartmentalization. This is about integrating all the little pieces of yourself, if this is for you. Because BBA wasn't able to realize everything that she was until she stopped putting herself into all those little boxes and wearing all those little different hats for different people, and not allowing herself certain emotional things. She had a lot of guilt, too, for the past, regret that she had to release. So, I'm on my way back and I'm thinking about BBA and quantum clairsentience, which I guess is a thing now. And I'm just you know, today could have come in 100 different ways. I woke up and my first thought was get a microwave, because our microwave shorted out last night. And like, we can heat things up on the stove, it's not a problem, but it's convenient to have a microwave. So because I was at Habitat for Humanity, I know they carry cheap microwaves. So I was thinking, like, just get a cheap one for now and we'll upgrade later. So I went to go do that, and I realized, like, I got dressed, I got ready and everything, and I realized that Habitat's closed on Mondays. And it's a Monday. And so I went back inside and I did some training modules for work that I forgot to do. A hummingbird. There's a hummingbird on my cannas. I didn't even know they ate those. That's so amazing. And bumblebees? I fucking love this so much right now. Thank you, Spirit. You know, I wanted to get bird feeders for this exact reason, but who needs bird feeders when you have flowers? This is amazing. It's okay, guys, you can share. I just lost my entire train of thought. I think it was about integration. Hummingbirds represent, in my belief system, the way that we live. Klaus Michelson had a quote from Originals about how hard a hummingbird has to work just to stay alive, how fast it has to beat. And in one moment, he appreciated all that life was watching this one hummingbird. And it gave him a broader scope to understand his own immortality and his own meaning for life, what he was here for, the moment. And now it's gone. He just flew away. It was beautiful. I'm so grateful for that. And I dropped all of my cards. So, how does this all connect? BBA gives me Queen of Cups energy, just saying. Her reconnection with her heart space paved the way for the rest of that journey. She had to forgive herself. She had to love herself. She had to stop punishing herself. She had to open her heart not just to Away, but to those kids. She became a teacher to help people. She lost sight of that for a while. She had to relearn her purpose. And I think it's easy to get caught up in the rat race and the paper game and just trying to be comfortable, trying to survive. But people forget that once they're not surviving, once they're walking in their purpose, they begin to thrive. And it's only by doing what's uncomfortable and taking that leap of faith that you align with what will provide for you. More like, the way will be paved through your purpose. Not that, like, you will become a millionaire or super comfortable or whatever, but your needs will be met. And let's talk about that, because everybody's like, well, when's it coming? When's it coming? You know, I feel like a millionaire, like I'm doing all this stuff, like I'm walking in my purpose, I have faith, but being a millionaire might not